Hey, what's up everyone? Back with another video, and in this video today we're actually going to be looking at some new research that breaks down the differences between low fat and low carb diets. And not only the differences, which one is considered better. So if weight loss or fat loss has ever been a goal of yours, you've always heard the two ends of the spectrum, right? You've heard the people that are very big advocates for low carbohydrates, or maybe even as far as keto, or you've even had the people that say low fat is the way to go, and so forth. So there's going to be a lot of different variations when it comes to that. So earlier this year, a 12-month study was concluded that was done at the University of Stanford, and that actually had 600 people or participants involved in the study. So this is one of the larger studies that I was aware of. And actually what they did was pretty much broke down the group almost to 50-50 on low carbohydrates and then low fat. And then they were going to see at the end of this long sequence who ended up losing more weight or ended up losing more body fat. Okay, so it's important to keep in mind that all of these subjects in this were healthy males and females, so let's take that into effect. So the first thing was, when the participants started, the low fat group was at 20 grams of fat per day, and the low carbohydrate group was at 20 grams of carbs per day. Now once they reached their threshold, they slowly started reintroducing more fats or more carbohydrates into their diet. So by month 3, the low fat group was actually over 40 grams of fat per day, and the low carbohydrate group was over 96 grams of carbs per day. Okay, so another thing to take into consideration is that the low carbohydrate group might have actually been in ketosis during the first 2 months of this dieting program, but it was never tested for, so we can't confirm or deny that. So the other thing that they really wanted to see was, is there going to be any significant difference in weight loss or fat loss? And I bet you already guessed it. There was no significant differences between the low fat and the low carbohydrate group. And here's the studies to prove it. As you can see right here, I'm putting up a couple of different graphs that broke down the differences between the groups. So in my opinion, however you would like to eat, whether you prefer to eat a more low-fat type of diet or if you prefer to eat a more low-carbohydrate type of diet, would be the one that probably would be best for you. Now I'm even going to take this a step further, and this would just be based on my experience. Now when fat loss and weight loss is the goal, I would assume that you're going to be on some type of resistance type of program, meaning weight training, some HIIT training, whatever it is. And I would just argue to say that if you are on lower carbohydrates as opposed to lower fat, I would just say the people that are consuming more carbohydrates in their diet probably are going to have better output when it comes to exercising. So I even think that a higher carb, lower fat diet would be better for fat loss. Now that's just my opinion, and that's just based on being able to do more based off of your energy levels, your glycogen stores, everything like that. The other difference I would say from an aesthetic standpoint is typically when people are lower carbohydrate, they tend to have a depleted look, and that's pretty much from just having depleted glycogen stores, so their muscles tend to look a little bit flat. So my other preference would be to stay a little bit higher on the carbohydrate side, just so you could have a more aesthetically pleasing physique. Though I will go back to the earlier thing that I said, where the best diet is the one that can work for you. And what all of this has ultimately shown us is that if you remain in a caloric deficit, weight loss is practically guaranteed. So factoring in how you want to eat, I think, is one of the biggest things. I would never put somebody on a high carbohydrate diet that just doesn't like carbs. That wouldn't make any sense. But what my recommendation would be, talk to each and every single one of your clients as though they're all different. My one thing that I would remain constant would be, especially in a calorie deficit, would be remaining protein around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound that they weigh when you're in a fat loss phase, as I just believe that this would minimize muscle loss the best. So that's the only thing that I would remain constant. Between the fat and the carbohydrates, we can fluctuate those accordingly to how somebody wants to eat. And based off of the principles or based off of what each macronutrient does, I also wouldn't want to fully deplete from either of those. I would say even on the low end of a low fat diet, we would still have people around 25-30 grams of fat as they play an essential role in cognitive function, nutrient delivery, and also the same would be with carbohydrate, just having that flat, depleted look. Unless somebody was insulin sensitive, I personally would never put anybody on a low carbohydrate diet. So I wanted to just show this new research that we have here, and this is about as good as it gets when we're looking at some data to break down the two differences. And I understand there's always going to be a debate, but I think this did really good at kind of closing the casket on that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Please subscribe for more videos like this. As you can tell, we're putting out a lot more videos a lot more frequently. So thanks for watching.